This week is a big pay-per-view. Big pay-per-view means big money. The UFC is back this weekend for UFC 327, where Carlos Ulberg is taking on Jiří Procházka in a light heavyweight title matchup. Alex Pereira, the king of the division, is moving up to heavyweight, so we now need to crown a new champion. Will it be Jiří or will it be Ulberg? I'm going to speak to you about that fight in this video. Not only that, but we have Joshua Van taking on Tatsuro Taira for another title fight on this card. That's the flyweight title. Joshua Van, some say he is not the real champion because of how he won the belt from an injury of Alejandro Pantoja. But make no mistake about it, whether he's a real champion or not, this is a real championship level fight, and Tatsuro Taira is looking to become the first Japanese champion in UFC history. Moving down the card, the UFC seems to stack a bunch of light heavyweight action, not only in a title fight, but on the main card we also have Dominick Reyes taking on Johnny Walker. Not only that, but in the same division we have Azamat Murzakanov. He may be fighting the winner of Jiří versus Ulberg if he can defeat Paulo Costa, who's moving up from middleweight to light heavyweight. And wait there, we're not done with the big boys. Josh Hokit is getting a massive step up in competition, taking on Blaydes in the heavyweight division. Boys, we've got all of those fights to speak about today and many more fights that I'm not going to mention right now, but that I will be getting into in due time. So boys, without further ado, run the intro and I'll see you on the other side. What's going on, lads? Welcome back to the show. This is an island edition of the show. The sun's shining, the wind is in my hair. I've just been for a morning swim and I've come here to make a video for you to break down this card. So there's good vibes in the air, boys, and I'm very excited to break down this entire fight card for you. It's a pay-per-view, so it's always a more fun piece of content I do when the UFC has a pay-per-view. The vibes are better, the fights are usually better as well. So very excited for this one, boys. Very excited to get back in the win column. We have been on a downtrend in 2026, which is very unfortunate, but we did get back in the win column last week. A win on PFL, a loss on UFC. Overall, it was a win. So I'm hoping to keep that good vibes going. I'm hoping to stay in the green zone this week. And we have a very good card to do it with. I have a goal of making $1 million from MMA betting in 2026. To start the year, with all transparency, the goal was 2 million. But it's not started very well. So I've moved the goal back down to 1 million. Currently, I'm down just under 600K. So we have to get that 600K back and then win another million, which is definitely possible. We're only 3 months into the year. In fact, as I record this, it's the 1st of April. So literally just finished 3 months into the year. So we can do it. Last year, I won 1.8 million. This year, I've started the year down 600K, but my style is aggressive. So all we need to do is string together a little win streak and we'll soon be back in the green zone and we can push on for that 1 million. And hopefully it's going to start on this card, boys. Obviously, Carlos Ulberg is from the country of New Zealand, where I'm at right now. I mean, look how beautiful New Zealand is. And so I'm usually a little bit biased to these guys. You know, last week I picked Israel Adesanya to beat Joe Pyfer. I didn't do it out of bias. I genuinely thought he was going to win that fight. I thought it was a good bet at minus 125. The market agreed with me. He ended up being a minus 150 favorite. He lost the fight. It was a bad bet. It is what it is. This week, I'm going to make sure that just like last week, if I do bet or pick Ulberg, it's going to be completely unbiased. It's not going to be because I like the country of New Zealand, I support New Zealand. It's going to be because of my analysis, just like it was last week. He's got a very tough matchup against Jiří Procházka. He can definitely get it done. But in like loads of these high-level matchups, either fighter can get it done on the day. So we're going to go into that fight very, very shortly. Before that, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the link in my bio if you want to join my free Telegram where I give away money very regularly to my supporters, to my followers for no reason, and where I also give away free bets for MMA and other sports that I don't give out on YouTube. So do all of that stuff. But without further ado, we'll get into the main event of the evening where we do have the New Zealand's own Carlos Ulberg taking on Jiří Procházka. Carlos Ulberg, the Black Jag, coming into this fight with a record of 13 wins and only 1 loss. That was his UFC debut. Jiří Procházka, on the other hand, I mean, you won't see a record this different that often in MMA. He has a record of 32 wins, 5 losses, and 1 draw. So Jiří with 38 fights, Carlos Ulberg with 14. Massive experience difference there. Currently, they have Jiří Procházka as the -135 favorite with the underdog price tag on Carlos Ulberg sitting at +115. All right, here we are, lads. It's Jiří Procházka time, you know. First of all, I said in the intro that, you know, I support these fighters from New Zealand. It's a country I live in, so I'm always going to pay respect to that. Same thing about English fighters. I'm always rooting for them for the most part, unless they fight somebody I know personally or something like that. But at the end of the day, Jiří Procházka, you know, let's give it up for Jiří Procházka for a minute. Let's just give him a round of applause. Yes, he's fighting a New Zealander. I don't give a f***. Jiří is an absolute legend, and I need to pay respect to Jiří. He is absolutely electric. You know, I did a tweet on Twitter maybe about 2 weeks ago. It was on fight night for the last UFC card, so not even a week ago. I'm losing my days, boys. It was after Terence McKinney fought, and I posted something like, Terence McKinney is the GOAT of MMA. No one in the sports history is that electric. And it's true, right? Like, Terence McKinney should be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. And people are going to go crazy in the comments because of that. I think Terence McKinney should be in the Hall of Fame. There's no one ever, like, there's never been anyone like Terence McKinney in the sport, and there probably never will be. That guy is an absolute legend. I will love Terence McKinney forever. This guy, every single fight he fights, the last 20 seconds, it's just unbelievable, you know? It's like the best fights you've ever seen in UFC history, just like 50% of them on Terence McKinney's record. It's crazy. But you know who is built and cut from that same cloth? Jiří Procházka. This guy is violence personified and Hall of Fame personified, honestly. Like, if they don't put Jiří Procházka in the Hall of Fame, me and you, we riot. There's probably going to be about 30,000 people that watch this video, if not more. I think we all need to team up and riot against the UFC in 10 years' time if Jiří has not been put in the Hall of Fame within 10 years, because this guy is electric, man. I mean, every single one of his fights in the UFC have ended inside the distance. Another way to say that is he's never gone to a decision in the UFC. He's barely gone to a decision in his long, illustrious MMA career anyway, and he's never ever gone to a decision in the UFC. So anytime you have sat down over the last 6-7 years since he's been in the UFC, around that long, maybe like 6 years, his debut to Volkan Ozdemir, I'm going to guess, was in 2019, but I could be wrong. But let's just say 2019. So that's 6 going on 7 years now. Anytime you've watched this dude over the last 7 years, you've never seen him go to the judges' scorecards. Every single time he's provided a finish for you and for me, either himself getting finished by the one and only Alex Pereira 2 times, or him finishing his opponents. This is a fantastic fight, boys. I cannot wait for this one. And I don't think anything changes here. I think Jiří and Carlos, I think their fight is going to end inside the distance. And I'm going to tell you exactly who I think wins now. So there's a lot I can say about this one, boys. Jiří's fights are the same no matter who he fights, except for if he fights Alex Pereira, because that guy's just a different breed. But what I was going to say is that his fights are the same, and his fights are simple, boys. It's like he's going to come forward and he's going to put himself in harm's way to get his own finish. And he's extremely hittable, and his striking defense is not that reliable. In fact, it's reliably bad, but he does it on purpose. I feel like if he fought smart and stayed on the outside, he probably is talented enough to do that game plan. That's just not his style, right? He comes forward, he throws heavy leather, and he puts himself in harm's way to eventually get his finish, to get his knockout, or like in the Glover Teixeira fight, to get his submission. And this fight is no different. He's going to put himself in harm's way to eventually get his knockout in the later rounds, like he does in every single fight. Now, the issue with that is when he puts himself in harm's way, he's liable to get knocked out. We've seen it in the Alex Pereira fight, knocked out 3 times in 2 fights there. If you know, you know. In the second fight, he got knocked out twice. Do your tape research if you don't believe me. The end of round 1, he got knocked out. And then the beginning of round 2, he got knocked out. It was like one extended knockout over 2 separate knockdowns. And even in the fights that he is winning, he is getting hurt in, sometimes even dropped and badly hurt, and rallying back to win. It's basically in every single fight. Jiří never has an easy fight. Every single fight he's getting at least rocked or wobbled, and at the very least losing cleanly before he gets his finish. And I think it's the same here, boys. I think Carlos Ulberg has a massive chance to hurt Jiří early. I actually predict him to hurt Jiří early. I think it will happen. And he has a massive chance to finish him as well. You know, I can definitely predict someone to get hurt, but to predict someone to get finished, it's always tough. And I have said this many times to you. If you've been watching me for many years, you'll know that I always say something along the lines of, it's very easy, or it's a lot easier to predict a knockdown or a fighter hurting somebody than a fighter actually getting knocked out. Because you never really know, you know. Yes, the fighter can get knocked down, but are they going to get knocked out? It was like last week when I predicted Larry and Douglas to get a KO in round 1. I was very confident he was going to KO in round 1, to be honest. But I was extremely confident he was going to hurt him in round 1. But it's like Julian Erosa has a strange chin. You never really know if he's definitely going to go out. He's going to get rocked and wobbled in every fight he's ever fought, even if he's fighting a bum. But it's harder to say if he's going to get knocked out. He did happen to get knocked out in that one. We did cash on that one. But on another day, maybe Erosa eats the bombs in round 1 because he was getting dropped and hurt badly, but he wasn't getting knocked out until that final stoppage, you know? So yeah, it's always hard to know if a fighter's going to get fully knocked out. But I'm pretty sure that Jiří's going to get hurt in this fight, boys. I'm pretty sure that he's getting hurt early in round 1 or round 2. I'm pretty sure that he's going to be close to getting knocked down or wobbled heavily. Like, you're going to see him visibly hurt. It's not just going to be like a little clip. Like, he will, like, the commentators will be like, oh my God, he's hurt. You know, like, I think it's going to be a thing that happens. Now, I don't know if Carlos is going to convert that into a finish. And if he doesn't, Jiří's probably going to break him later into the fight. You know, Carlos Ulberg is from New Zealand, the beautiful country of New Zealand, where I'm at now. That's where I live, in New Zealand. And I always support the New Zealand fighters for the most part. But I'm always unbiased against them as well. Now, I did bet on Adesanya in his last fight. Obviously, I lost that bet. It ended up being a bad bet, but I didn't bet that out of bias. I genuinely thought he was going to beat Joe Pyfer, and I thought it was too much of a step up for Joe Pyfer. Izzy turned out to be more washed than I believe he was. And in this fight, yes, I'm going to be supporting Carlos to some degree. Like, I'd like him to win, even though I love Jiří, but I'm not going to have a biased pick. I'm not going to have a biased bet. I like money more than I like Carlos Ulberg, so I'm going to be fully honest with you guys about my prediction. And I do believe that if the fight goes into round 3, I think it becomes Jiří's fight. And I think Jiří wins that fight. And I actually don't think he only wins it, but I think he finishes Carlos Ulberg in rounds 3, 4, and 5. Now, if we go back and look at Jiří's last fight against Khalil Roundtree, we will see that in the first 2 rounds, it was a close fight, but Jiří was getting outpointed and Khalil Roundtree was having the big moments. Jiří couldn't really get his game going. He was struggling. You know, Khalil in that southpaw stance, very fast, very powerful, a lot of physicality in the striking in his stance. He's very balanced as a fighter. He's rarely off balance or out of balance. And that's not easy to fight. You know, especially with someone like Jiří's style. He throws at weird angles. He takes one to give one back. Against Khalil Roundtree, that's not really a style that you want to have. Now, obviously, he ended up winning the fight, but the first 2 rounds, he got caught a lot, you know. In the first round, he did that jump thing he does. If you watch Jiří long enough, you know that sometimes he randomly just clicks the jump button on the PlayStation controller and he just jumps up out of nowhere. I see someone do a comment like that one time. I thought it was a great comment. And he actually did that in round 1 where he kind of jumped, faked the flying knee. I don't know what the hell it was. It was just some Jiří shit, you know? They should rename ninja shit to Jiří shit. But yeah, it was just some Jiří shit. And he got countered with a big left hand off the back of that. Now, if that was Carlos Ulberg, that might be a sleeping punch. Do I think Carlos hits harder than Khalil Roundtree? I don't know. I'd have to sit down and think about it. I have to do tape study and really, really watch these guys' knockouts. But I do think Carlos is way slicker. I think his accuracy is better than Khalil Roundtree. And I think that Khalil is more explosive and powerful in like an athletic sense. But I think Carlos is way more accurate. And I think you don't see Carlos's shots coming, whereas you always see Khalil's shots coming. They're just so hard that it doesn't matter if you see them coming. But Carlos's shots, you don't see them coming. They're super slick, very technical. His setups are amazing. And so those are the ones that really knock you out. So I would not be surprised if, you know, Jiří is having a hard time tracking down Carlos Ulberg, getting caught with something slick, and getting absolutely slumped in round 1 or round 2. And we're looking at the world heavyweight champion in Carlos Ulberg. Like, I could definitely see that. Carlos has elite footwork, very, very good footwork, very good distance control. And I think they've actually improved for MMA. He was already good at kickboxing, king of the ring before he came into MMA, but I think they've improved in MMA since the earlier fights against Darn Young, since the Kennedy and Zechukwu fight. I feel like he's improved a shit ton. And the thing about Carlos is, I can't remember an interview of Carlos ever. Like, I can't remember an interview of him. I don't really know his personality because Carlos is kind of like a quiet guy. You know, he doesn't go out there on the mic. He doesn't speak loud enough. So people underrate him. He's a very, very, very good fighter. You know, I think because he doesn't speak up, people don't understand how good he is. And also, I think people don't understand his improvements. I feel like because there hasn't been a lot of hype around Carlos because he never speaks, there hasn't been people focusing on him or making videos on him or analysts talking about him too much. And so no one really knows the improvements he's made. And also, because he's not like started wrestling or added a clinch game in or a submission game in outside of Dart and Young fight, I think a lot of these improvements are hard for the naked eye to tell. You know, he probably looks like a similar fighter that he fought when he was in his debut. Like he throws the same type of shots. He's still a very clean kickboxer. I mean, he's beating the out of Kennedy in his debut. You know, he got a brutal knockout in Dana White's Contender Series, similar to what he did against many fighters recently. So I feel like the improvements are kind of being overshadowed to some degree, but I've seen the improvements. I mean, I'm watching these guys on my laptop, specifically studying for these videos and for my bets on the weekend. So I see these minor improvements. And Carlos has definitely improved his fight IQ. He's definitely improved his range control and his distance control, which is saying something because he already had pretty good distance control and range when he came into the UFC. And he's improved his shot select. He just improved as an MMA fighter overall and definitely as a striker in MMA. So, you know, I feel like Jiří's got a tough fight here. But like I said, if he does get through the first couple of rounds, I see Jiří potentially breaking Carlos Ulberg. The only time we've seen Carlos Ulberg defeated in the UFC was against Kennedy and Zechukwu, and that's after he blew his load. Pause right now. Pause this video right now. He blew his WOD, load, whatever you want to call it. And after that, he had nothing left to give, and Kennedy ended up finishing him. And so we could see something like that here where he gives everything to Jiří. Pause. I need to stop doing this breakdown now. It's just going mad. But yeah, I feel like we could see the same thing happen, of course. You know, Jiří has made his whole career on surviving the first round and coming back in round 2 and round 3 to finish you like he did against Khalil. And one thing I noticed in that Khalil fight was he didn't really pressure because he couldn't really get into range. He was trying these outside switch stance kicks and stuff, but he wasn't really pressuring Khalil until the 3rd round when, 1, he knew he had to, but 2, he hurt Khalil. And as soon as he hurt Khalil, I think it was with a hook or something like that, but as soon as he hurt Khalil, he never ever let off the gas and he ended up finishing him. You know, so when Jiří smells blood, he smells blood. Look what he did to Volkan Ozdemir, you know, with pressuring, brutal KO in his debut. Like when this guy smells blood, he is not going to let off the gas. Like against Rakic as well was another example of it. I mean, any fight ever in Jiří is an example of it. Even the first fight against Alex Pereira, he smelled blood and he ended up getting KO'd. But, you know, he's going to put himself in danger. So, yeah, this is a very tough fight for me to call, boys. I'm going to go with Carlos Ulberg, and there's a few reasons. The first reason is because he's an underdog, right? So I feel like this fight is close to 50-50, but Carlos is the underdog. So that's making me lean his way in one regard. Another reason that makes me lean Carlos's way ever so slightly, at least for this video, I'm not saying I'm going to bet on him, but for this video, is also because Carlos's best moments are going to come early, meaning Jiří has to survive the early storm to win the fight. Yes, Jiří can knock him out in round 1, but it's very unlikely, in my opinion. Jiří's going to have to come through hellfire to get the win. He may very well do that, but Carlos is going to have his turn to win first. Right? So because he has his turn to win first, he has his chance to win first, I'm going to go with him. You know, it's like if you had to kick a ball into a goal, right? And whoever got the ball into the goal first won, like a fight, whoever gets the knockout first wins. But you had the first shot on goal, you're obviously going to favor that dude, right? Unless he's just so shit compared to the other football player. And that's the same analogy here. Like Carlos is going to have his chance to knock out Jiří first. So because of that, I'm going to take him. Look, I could totally see Jiří coming in here and destroying Carlos in rounds 3, 4, 5. I'm going to give you out a little bet in a minute, boys. The odds are not out for it yet, but we may be able to get something a little bit juicy. But yeah, I just want to preface the final summary of the breakdown by saying Jiří can easily slump Carlos here. I mean, he's got better cardio. He's way more suited to 5 rounds. If anyone's going to get grappling, it's going to be Jiří. Jiří's proved time and time again he can go through tough fights. Carlos hasn't really proved it, to be honest. He's kind of won most of his fights cleanly. The one time he came up against true adversity, he did get finished. These are all verifiable facts. Yes, he's had some slightly tough fights, like Volkan was landing some shots on him. Jan Blachowicz round 3 was looking good, and Carlos's body language wasn't as good there, and he still won the fight. It was a close fight. But I feel like Jiří has a lot of advantages in this fight. a way higher level experience in the UFC, been there, done that, been a champion, gunning for the belt again, probably happy Alex is out of the division because he can become champion again. He can't really become champion if Alex is there. We've been proven that now. So yes, Jiří has a lot of advantages in this, but for the reasons I just said, I will pick Carlos, but I wouldn't be surprised at any result in this fight, boys. Now, let me give you a little bet for this one. So obviously, the easy bet here is violence, boys, does not go to decision. But that's -600, -500. It isn't out yet, but I'm guessing it's going to be about that. Maybe even more. You never know. Probably could be like -800, honestly, boys. And so because of that reason, I ain't giving that shit out to you. I'm trying to give you some good odds here. I don't want to give you -800s and just LARP like I'm the best gambler in the world because I gave you a -800 and maybe parlay that with another -700. Like, nah. I'm trying to give you good odds. So what we could potentially do, which is way more risky, that's why the odds are better, is we could do something like this, boys. We could get a Dutching calculator. If you don't know what Dutching calculator is, I won't explain it now, but it's something that you should use in your sports betting, and it may help you depending on your strategy. So type in Dutching calculator, Google it, and go and check that out. That's a little bit of knowledge. I use that in my own sports betting when I'm trying to place multiple bets. So what we could potentially do is place Carlos Ulberg to win in round 1 and to win in round 2, and then place subsequent bets on Jiří Procházka to win in round 3, 4, and 5. Now, if we play all of those bets, they're all massive long shot props, right? So we're going to get +600 on Carlos round 1, +800 on round 2, +1,000 on Jiří round 3, +1,400 on round 4, +2,000 on round 5, +1,500 on round 5, or whatever it is, right? And overall, we might get like a +160, +170. Overall, all of those odds combined, it will average out to about +160, +170, like guessing, right? And I feel like those are the most likely rounds the fight will be finished in by who. Now, of course, Jiří could knock him out in round 2. Kennedy did it. Of course, Carlos could catch him in round 3, but that's why the odds are +160 or whatever it is, and not -6 or even like +110 is better. That -700 doesn't go, right? So I feel like that's a decent angle that I may even take myself, depending on what odds I can get, because I definitely think this fight is going to end inside the distance. So violence is my pick, Carlos is my pick, and spreading the bets out over 5 rounds is a little sprinkle that I'm giving you right now that I haven't placed yet, that I may not even do, but it's like an angle that I might be willing to take. So something else I want to touch on, boys, as I usually do, is the narrative factor, the outside of the octagon factor. Have these guys had a good training camp? Is there any mental warfare going on? These type of things that oftentimes don't affect the fight at all, but sometimes they do. And it's always good information to give to you guys. And as you know, I'm always trying to give you as much information possible. So something I noticed when I was doing my study and research for this fight is that Carlos Ulberg actually turned down the Jiří Procházka fight a couple of months ago. I shouldn't say a couple of months ago, but it was whenever he fought Dominick Reyes, which was maybe like 6 months ago or something like that. Maybe not that much, but around that. The UFC had offered him Jiří Procházka instead, and he turned it down. Jiří came out and said he turned it down. I think he's taken some confidence from that. And Carlos has spoke about this himself. He said that it's not that he avoided the fight or declined the fight, but that he wanted to fight later because he had an injury. So he couldn't take the fight at the time that the UFC wanted it. So he asked the UFC to push it back to November, and apparently Jiří said no. He didn't want to fight them because he wanted to be lined up for the Alex Pereira and Kalaev fight, because he wanted to fight the winner of that. Carlos also spoke and said that, yeah, he had an injury and he wasn't going to rush into a Jiří fight because it's a very dangerous fight. So he knows Jiří's a dangerous fight. He said it himself. He's very self-aware. He also gave Jiří props in that interview, said he's a very good fighter, said he done well in the Khalil fight to get the stoppage, etc., etc. Something else that these guys have said about each other is that Jiří has said he is coming to put heavy pressure on Carlos Ulberg, so I thought that was interesting to note. I mean, at the end of the day, boys, we know that Jiří's going to put pressure on his fighters, whether he said he's going to do it or not, right? We don't need him to confirm it for us, but it was still nice to hear, it's just still a bow on top. He's definitely going to come here to put hands on Carlos. He's done it in every fight, and he's going to do it here. There's no difference. He even says that he doesn't think Carlos fights well when he's pressured, and he says that's the only way you can fight him. if you fight pretty with him, you won't win. He said that himself. So we can expect a war here, guys. Something else I noticed was that Jiří Procházka did a 48-hour fast very recently. So 2 weeks out from the fight, this guy's done a 48-hour fast. I mean, it's kind of crazy. This guy is a lunatic. You know, you speak to any fighter and they'll be like, what the hell is all that about? I would never do a fast 2 weeks out from a fight. But, you know, Jiří's a different type of guy. So Jiří also did his camp in Mexico at altitude. So that's another thing I noted. If you don't know what camp at altitude, it just means that he did his training camp at a place that is extremely high in Mexico City, which is way above sea level, and there's less oxygen in the air. And so it's meant to improve your cardio because you've been training at conditions where cardiovascular system is under more pressure than it usually would be and than it will be in the fight. So we know Jiří's going to have elite cardio anyway, just like we know he's going to put pressure on Carlos anyway. But this is like a double confirmation. You know, he's trained for a 5-round fight. He should have even better cardio, and he might even put more pressure on. So this is going to be a fantastic fight. Light heavyweight action again as Azamat Murzakanov takes on Paulo Costa. Murzakanov coming into this fight, very shiny, undefeated record, 16 wins, 0 losses, making him one of only 2 fighters with an undefeated record on this fight card. He has taken on Paulo Costa with a record of 15 wins, 4 losses. Currently, they have Azamat Murzakanov as the slight -155 favorite, with the underdog price tag on Paulo Costa sitting at +135. This is a great one, boys. I mean, Paulo Costa, you know, this guy was hyped up to be something special in the UFC, and he's gone on to do decent things, but I feel like he's more of a name than a fighter at this point. Look, he had a great win against Roman Kopylov as a big size underdog, but I feel like Kopylov is that type of fighter where he just doesn't push and he doesn't throw a lot, and in a lot of fights he could win, but he just doesn't throw. Like against Gregory Rodriguez. I mean, he almost suffered the same fate against Chris Curtis. It was a close fight up until the knockout to some degree. And I feel like, I mean, that was a good performance. I won't go too in depth on Roman, but I do feel like he could have performed better in that fight against Costa. I really do. I will say though, Paulo Costa is very good at fighting southpaws, and Azamat Murzakanov fights from the southpaw stance. So, you know, he could bring some problems there. He has way more high level experience. He's been there, done that at this point. But I also feel like he's just chasing a check at this point. I don't think he's improving from fight to fight. I think he's the same fighter he always has been. And Azamat's a big dude for light heavyweight. Something else that comes into my mind is that Azamat usually fights taller guys. So fighting someone who's not a big tall motherfucker like he's used to, maybe he's gonna not perform as well against them, you know? I remember his fight against Tafon. He didn't perform great against him. Tafon's like a shorter guy like Paulo Costa. So there's a few things that's swirling around in my head on this one, boys. But ultimately, I did end up picking Azamat Murzakanov as my official pick. And I do think he's going to win this fight. I think that at this point in their career, Paulo Costa's probably on a downtrend now, even though he did get a win in his last fight. I don't think he's as good as maybe he once was. Or maybe he was always this level, but he was just a little bit overrated, you know, because he's a big, muscly guy who speaks a lot on Twitter. He's a hilarious guy. I like Paulo, but maybe his skill sets weren't, maybe his hype wasn't warranted based on his skill set, you know? Azamat Murzakanov has a lot of holes as well, boys. You know, he gets tired in fights. He's had some very poor round threes. The Jacoby fight wasn't great. He seems to get bailed out by his power sometimes, but at the end of the day, man, he's got very good accuracy. He's very good early in fights. He's got very good timing, and he's got elite power, you know, and these things can take you very far when you're just way higher level than most fighters you fight in those realms, which he is. I think Paulo Costa's kind of like a basic striker. He has about 2 or 3 moves that he throws very well. Whereas I think Murzakanov, he's better striker, you know, like he has better eyes in the pocket. His accuracy is way higher. His timing's better. He's got more power. I think he has more tools in his toolbox, although he does throw, you know, he does have like 3 very good strikes like Paulo Costa does. But he targets the body really well. Paulo Costa has always been a hittable guy, you know, and I feel like at middleweight, where the fighters don't punch as hard as Murzakanov, he kind of got away with it. And he still lost a lot of those fights, but he kind of got away with it on like physicality and durability. Paulo's one of the most durable to ever do it, you know? But I just feel like at light heavyweight, it's not going to go well for him. I don't think this is his weight class. Maybe his durability is going to be even more improved, but Murzakanov has real power for heavyweight, and he's for light heavyweight, and he's putting out massive dudes, man. He's dropping massive dudes. He's putting them out, and Paulo Costa takes one to give one, and I don't think that's good against someone who is as powerful as Murzakanov. Murzakanov is also extremely fast for light heavyweight. So I don't think Paulo Costa's going to have any speed advantage moving up to light heavyweight. I think he would against other fighters, but I don't think he will for light heavyweight. I mean, Murzakanov has the speed of a fucking middleweight, but he's 20 pounds heavier. So I feel like he's still going to be super fast. He's still going to have the speed advantage probably. And he's going to have a power advantage, which most fighters don't have when they're going up against Paulo Costa. I mean, Paulo has a raw physicality and power advantage against almost everyone he's ever fought. I don't think he has crazy power, but he has clubbing physicality, clubbing power. You know, there's a difference between like one-shot power and clubbing power. And I think he's at a power disadvantage here. So I have to pick Murzakanov, man. He's the one on the uptrend. It's only 3 rounds, which is better for him. 5 rounds, I might even bet Paulo because I feel like he's just way more suited to that fight style, but I probably wouldn't bet him because it's like, at the end of the day, he's so hittable and he's going up against someone who has crazy power. But, you know, the in and out movement of Murzakanov should shut down Paulo Costa just like Robert Whittaker's in and out movement did. The attacks to the body and head might really hurt Paulo Costa, where we haven't seen him hurt that much at middleweight. He might finally get hurt now at light heavyweight, and it might completely change the trajectory of the fight. I mean, Costa has not really been dropped hurt badly. What if that happens in round 1 here? I don't know if he's going to be the same fighter. You know, I remember in the Sean Strickland fight, he couldn't deal with the pressure and he kind of just cowered away for 5 rounds. You know, he wasn't really used to it. So if he's not used to getting hurt, dropped, wobbled here, we might see him kind of cower up again and just kind of like succumb to the power of Murzakanov. So that's the way I see the fight go. And I got Murzakanov to win this one. I'm going to say knockout, man. I mean, I know it's a bit of a wild one because Costa's never been finished and he's super durable. I mean, he has been finished against Adesanya, but that was a weird one. I don't want to even get into that one. Like, it wasn't, he just didn't throw. He kind of got scared of the matchup. It was extremely weird. He just let his leg get beat up and then he kind of just got crumbled off one hook in the pocket and just kind of gave up. It was very weird. Outside of that, we've not really seen him hurt, dropped badly, but I feel like we might actually see that here where he actually gets decimated. Really big body shots, big head shots, and he stays tough, but he's getting hurt. So I'll pick a knockout. It could easily be a decision, but I got Azamat Murzakanov in this one. Next up, big boys again, but these are even bigger boys. We have Curtis Blaydes taking on Josh Hokit. What a step up in competition here. We have Curtis Blaydes coming into this fight with a record of 19 wins, 5 losses. Josh Hokit, on the other hand, 8 wins and no losses, making him the second of only 2 undefeated fighters on the entire fight card. Currently, they have Curtis Blaydes as the slight -145 favorite, with the underdog price tag on Josh Hokit sitting at +125 odds. Yeah, this is a very good fight, boys. I mean, they're pushing Josh Hokit. They're pushing Josh Hokit heavily, you know. They have given him Curtis Blaydes, and this is a big step up. I mean, if he wins that fight, he could fight for the title. That just shows how shallow the heavyweight division is. You know, you get 1 or 2 wins, you do an interview like Colby Covington, and all of a sudden you're fighting Curtis Blaydes in a title eliminator kind of thing. You know, Curtis Blaydes has shown himself to be a very good fighter, a very good collective fighter, but someone who probably will never become champion. You know, he's fought for the belt before, did not win it. Title eliminators, doesn't really do what needs to be done to put himself truly in a title picture. And despite all of that, he's extremely tough out for anyone. You know, I feel like in a couple of years, Josh Hokit would probably beat Curtis Blaydes, or maybe could. I mean, we don't know how good he is. But I think at this point in time, Curtis Blaydes is gonna win the fight. I think it's a close fight, though. Josh definitely could win. I mean, the way I see this fight, boys, is that it's just a bit too much too soon for Josh Hokit. You know, Curtis Blaydes is not the type of fighter that you get out there in round 1 unless you land the perfect shot. And I don't think Josh Hokit has crazy power to land the perfect shot. Josh Hokit wins fights by melting his opponents with wrestling, pace, pressure, cardio, physicality, volume. Like, that's his game, you know? He's not a Tom Aspinall, a Sergey Pavlovich, or a Francis Ngannou, where he puts you out in round 1. All of the type of fighters who have beat Curtis Blaydes. He's the type of fighter who breaks you over 3 rounds, not over 3 rounds, who breaks you in 5 minutes, 7 minutes. But he doesn't have 3-round experience. He doesn't have 5-round experience like Curtis Blaydes does. And he's just lacking those reps in the UFC to sustain his pace over 3 rounds, you know? Josh Hokit goes balls to the wall in round 1, and if he doesn't get you out of there, I don't think he's going to be performing that well in round 2 and round 3. I see him performing really well in round 1 here and probably winning the round, but I don't see him sustaining that pace over 15 minutes. I think in round 2 and round 3, the experience will start to show for Curtis Blaydes. I still feel like Josh Hokit could steal the first 2 rounds and hang on in round 3. Or maybe finish him in the first 2 rounds. But you have to trust Curtis Blaydes here as the guy who's gone 3 rounds multiple times, as the guy who has better boxing fundamentals, the guy who has shown the willingness to get beat up early and come back in fights like the Joel and Almeida fight, the Rizvan Kuniev fight, which it wasn't going his way in round 2 and he had a decent round 3, although I think that was a robbery and he clearly lost the fight. He still was composed enough to win round 3 on the judges' scorecard to win him the fight. And so I have to go with the experience of Curtis Blaydes here. But very good fight. Definitely a winnable fight for Josh Hokit. This is not like a unwinnable fight for him. And Curtis Blaydes, I feel like he's going to lose at some point soon. I thought it was going to be against Kunaev. I bet Kunaev there at like plus 250. Complete robbery. Horrible one. That robbed me of over 60 grand. I was going to win 60 grand, I think, on one parlay or 50 grand. And on the money line, I was going to return like 15 grand or something like that. So it's like 60 to 70 grand I was going to win on that one. So I'm biased. I'm always going to cause that one a robbery. Every time I rewatch it, it's still a fucking robbery to me. And I feel like at some point he's going to lose as like a favorite. And it could be here. But you can't back Josh Hokit at plus 120 in a fight which he just never proved to win these type of fights, which is probably going to go 15 minutes. Going to be at a high pace against someone who can wrestle back, anti-wrestle as good as Curtis Blaydes, maybe even wrestle him. You can't pick him, man. So even though I think it's going to be a close fight and I respect it, I can't pick Josh Hokit. I'm going to pick Curtis Blaydes here, but it's a close fight. Skill for skill, it's a close fight. But I got Curtis Blaydes edging it in round 2 and round 3 with his experience advantage and winning the decision. Maybe if the odds are good, I might bet that over here or something like that. Next up, in the light heavyweight division again, we have Dominick Reyes taking on Johnny Walker. Dominick Reyes coming into this fight with a record of 15 wins, 5 losses. Johnny Walker, on the other hand, 22 wins and 9 losses. They have Dominick Reyes as the minus 120 slight favorite with the underdog price tag on Johnny Walker sitting at plus 100. Yeah, so, I mean, boys, what are we going to do about this one? I picked Tyra semi-confidently. I picked Ulberg not confidently at all. And I'm going to pick someone not confidently at all here again, boys. We'll get into some more confident picks. I mean, Tyra, ended up being fairly confident, I guess. But, I mean, that's a very close fight as well. We'll get into some more confident picks in the future. But I can't lie to you and say I have a strong pick when I don't. I'm not trying to rage bait or be outrageous or go viral because I'm picking someone super confidently, even though it's a close fight, like 50-50. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to give you my full, honest breakdown and analysis. And my honest breakdown of this one is that I don't know what's going to happen. And anything could happen. Johnny Walker versus Dominick Reyes. Isn't it the most volatile fight you've ever seen? First thing first, boys, I'm picking Johnny Walker in this one, right? And the reason I'm doing that is because he's a little bit more unorthodox. And I feel like if you're unorthodox, you can catch Dominick Reyes. Ryan Spann is unorthodox to some degree, and, he was able to knock him out. Jiří Procházka is the most unorthodox fighter in the world, and he hit him with a spinning back elbow. And Johnny Walker seems to struggle against fighters who are very technically sound and can pressure and wear him down. Not all the time. Johnny can just get caught by anyone. But kind of like the Volkan Ozdemir is kind of like the worst style matchup for Johnny Walker because, he comes up with a high guard. He's very technically sound. He walks forward, pressure, and he is able to overcome Johnny Walker's athletic ability, where he likes to jump around and stay on the outside and stuff like that. He's able to overcome that with his pressure and technicality, right? And Dominick Reyes doesn't really have that style. Dominick Reyes, he himself relies on athletic ability. He himself relies on footwork, staying on the outside. And that's not really the best type of game plan against someone like Johnny Walker because Johnny Walker's super tall, super rangy, super long himself and super unorthodox. So he can just catch you if you're not really pressuring him, maintaining a solid high guard and landing a knockout yourself, So I feel like Johnny Walker's athletic ability is going to outshadow Dominick Reyes' athletic ability here. At the end of the day, man, both these guys' chin is completely gone. Johnny Walker's chin has been gone way before Dominick Reyes' chin has been gone. And Johnny's still in there fighting. I mean, it's kind of like Conor McGregor, his diss against Dustin Poirier at this point. A gust of wind and he does the chicken dance. That's kind of how I see this fight, Whoever throws the best gust of wind first, the other fighter's going to do the chicken dance and they're going to win the fight. So, yeah, man. I mean, not too much to say here. Johnny Walker is currently training at Extreme Couture. If you know anything about Johnny, he's been all around the world training at different gyms. He's currently in Vegas, UFC PI. I saw him at the UFC PI personally last year, so he's there. He's also at Extreme Couture. He's sparring with Francis Ngannou. He stated that Francis Ngannou landed a big uppercut on his chin that hurt him. So I don't know if his chin can get any worse because it's already really bad, but maybe that's not good that he's sparring Francis Ngannou. I mean, it is good for most people, but for Johnny, maybe it's not good. Maybe you just want to protect your chin. But yeah, those are the few things I noticed outside of the, outside of the tape study, boys. But at the end of the day, this fight is close. Anything can happen. My prediction is Johnny Walker via spinning back elbow or spinning back fist KO. Something ridiculous like that. But I could also see this fight go into a decision against all likelihood where both fighters are staying on the outside. Dominick Reyes knows his chin's semi-gone, knows Johnny Walker's so aggressive and dangerous. He's staying on the outside and he is more technical. He does have better footwork. He is less aggressive. He is better point fighter. So he could just stay on the outside. And then Johnny Walker, because he's doesn't have no technicality to his game. Sometimes he can't get inside. Kind of like Jiří Procházka, man. He couldn't get inside on Khalil Roundtree. Khalil was just stinging him every time he came in the middle because he doesn't really have that much technicality, or he ain't pumping a jab and like working a low kick and beating you down to the body and systematically breaking you down. He's just throwing a million different strikes and breaking you down that way with pace and pressure and elite cardio. And that's what Jiří's doing. And Johnny Walker does the same to a way less degree with zero durability, where Jiří has, 100 recoverability and like 50 durability. So there is a world in which these fighters are on the outside kicking each other's legs. Johnny Walker's doing some weird shit but can never get close distance, like Jiří in the first two rounds against Khalil, and it goes into the round 3, it goes to a decision. There is a world where that happens, but obviously I'm going to have to pick a knockout in round 1 as my official prediction, because these guys' chins are so gone and they are both dangerous in a light heavyweight division. So it's easy to pick a round 1 finish here, but I'm just saying don't put all of your money on that, because I feel like everyone's going to be playing it, and it's probably going to look easy. There probably will be a knockout inside the first 5 minutes, but if there isn't a knockout in the first 5 minutes, it could go all 15. It's one of those weird fights, They both could get spooked off. But ultimately, boys, spent too long on this one. Johnny Walker via spinning back elbow or spinning back fist KO in round 1 is my official prediction. Next up, an absolute banger of a matchup in the featherweight division. Cub Swanson is taking on Nate Landwehr, 2 veterans of the sport. Someone, unfortunately, is going to have to lose that one, but what a fight it's going to be. Cub Swanson coming into this fight with an extensive MMA record of 44 fights here, 30 wins and 14 losses. Nate Landwehr, on the other hand, 18 wins and 7 losses. Currently, they have Nate Landwehr, the -140 favorite, with the underdog price tag on Cub Swanson sitting at +120. Just like a lot of the fights on this card, this is a very hard fight to call. Either fighter can win on their day, and that's how this fight card seems to be playing out, boys. Sometimes there's fight cards where, like recently we had like all -600s and stuff. It's easy to pick who's going to win there. You know what I mean? But sometimes these fights are like -140, +120, and there's a lot of weirdness going into them. Like this fight, for example, where both fighters are past the hill, both fighters are veterans of the sport, both fighters are old and semi-washed. So who's going to be more washed? Like, who's going to show themselves to be more washed in the fight on the night? Like, it's a tough fight to juggle, and that's a lot of these fights have weird inconsistencies in them like that, or weird tangents that make it honestly just hard to predict. And this one's hard to predict, boys. I mean, Nate Landwehr, fighter's fighter. Nate Landwehr, a great fighter. I'll always enjoy a Nate Landwehr fight. If you do not put this guy out like Herbert Burns did or Morgan Sharia ended up doing in round 3, he is going to come forward and put you through hell like he did against Sharia until Sharia ended up getting the finish. Because that's the type of fighter he is, all gas, no brakes. From the opening bell, he's going to pressure you, put the pace on you, make it dirty, make it ugly, clinch you, calf kicks, elbows in close. He's probably going to be bleeding. He's probably going to make you bleed, and he's going to put you through the ringer. But Cub Swanson is used to that. I mean, Cub Swanson has done that his entire career. Cub Swanson has made a career out of having wars. I mean, one of the best fights of all time is Cub Swanson versus Do Ho Choi. And that is an all-out war, a crazy war where they both go back and forth for 15 minutes. Cub Swanson is no bitch, and Nate Landwehr is not the type of fighter who's just going to run him over. I think this is a very close fight. Either fighter could win. I'm actually going to pick Cub Swanson in this one because I feel like he's been there, done it multiple times. He's fought the same style that Nate Landwehr is going to bring multiple times, where it's just consistent, rinse and repeat, heavy grinding style. He's going to get tired. He knows he's going to get tired, but he still can come out on top. I think he's a better striker technically. I think he has more power on the feet, and I think that he displays damage better than Nate Landwehr. So for those 3 or 4 reasons, whatever I said, I feel like Cub Swanson's going to get this one. But at the end of the day, boys, Cub Swanson's old now, and at his age, the falling off a cliff can come at any point. It would not shock me if Nate Landwehr is able to just win the fight, win a gritty dogfight, 29-28, where he out-hustles Cub Swanson. And the main reason why is because Cub Swanson his cardio isn't there anymore, or isn't as good because of his age. Cardio is one of the first to go when you get old. Like, you just can't keep up the same pace as you once could. And so I could see that happen on the side of Cub Swanson. So it's a very close fight. But I will pick Cub Swanson to win this fight. Next up, it's the return of Aaron Pico, and he is taking on Patricio Pitbull. Aaron Pico coming into this fight with a record of 13 wins, 5 losses. Patricio Pitbull, a record of 37 wins, 8 losses. This is a Bellator matchup to some degree, and have Aaron Pico as the massive -300 favorite, with the underdog price tag on Patricio Pitbull sitting at +250 odds. Yeah, weird fight, boys, because Aaron Pico is always a bit of a wild card because his pressure style gets himself into danger. He's much like Jiří Procházka. And the same breakdown that I gave in the Jiří Procházka versus Carlos Ulberg fight, in that his style just puts himself in danger, is the same thing with Aaron Pico here. I mean, we see it in every single loss he's ever had. It hasn't really come from like him being outclassed. It never did. He never got outclassed, but he got caught a lot of times and knocked out so many times now, you know, multiple times. In his last fight, he gets knocked out brutally with a spinning back elbow. I was able to watch that one live. That was crazy to watch. And it's just because he has a crazy pressure style where he keeps walking forward into range, doesn't have any regard for his opponent's strength or his opponent's power on the feet. I don't know why, because he's been knocked out so many times. Like, boys, if you're Aaron Pico, right, and you've got like 5 knockouts, 5 knockout losses, 4 knockout losses, whatever it was going into that Lerone Murphy fight, would you not play it a bit safer? On your UFC debut, would you not just play it a bit safer, lads? I mean, I would, but I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm not a UFC fighter. Actually, that. It's retarded of Aaron Pico to continue to fight the way he has fought. I don't care if I'm a UFC fighter or not. It's so retarded for Aaron Pico to continue to fight this aggressive style after getting knocked out 5 times, you know, or whatever it is. Like, he needs to just calm down. He needs to play it safe. He's done that in other fights, like coming off knockouts in Bellator. He would go the safer route in his subsequent fights, oftentimes, you know, wrestle more, methodically break his opponent down rather than trying to kill him in round 1. And it would serve him well. And he would have great performances and get the win. And then he gets a bit too high on himself. It seems like, to me anyway, watching from where I'm watching from, it seems like he gets a bit too confident. He gets a bit too high on himself. He ends up resorting back to what he's always done, really, and who he is deep down, which is just an aggressive brawler striker. And all respect to him, we love that type of style, but it's not really conducive to a long, successful MMA career, because at some point, you're going to get knocked out. And at 5 points or whatever it is, he did get knocked out. You know, and once he goes back to that style, he just puts himself in danger. And you can't do that against the best fighters in the world. You can't even do that against medium fighters in the world, like Adam Borics and people like that who have beat Aaron Pico. And you definitely can't do that against people like Lerone Murphy. Can you do it against Pitbull? I mean, Pitbull's a smart guy. He's a veteran. I wouldn't be surprised if Pitbull catches him. But to be honest, I feel like Aaron Pico is going to come in a little bit more reserved in this fight, like he has done after almost every single loss of his career, every single knockout loss of his career. All his losses have been knockouts. He's never been submitted. But he could definitely knock out Pitbull early. Pitbull's been... It's a weird one because I feel like Aaron Pico is going to come in with a more reserved game plan here. He's not going to rush crazy like he did in his debut. But at the same time, Pitbull gets hurt so often and got hurt a lot in the last 5 fights. Every single one of his last 5 fights, by the way, boys, go and do the tape. Outside of the Ige one. Actually, he might have got hurt by Ige. I need to remember that when I'm getting mixed up. But anyway, boys, this guy, when I've watched him, in basically every fight, he's getting hurt to some extent, right? Even in fights that he's winning. So because of that, Aaron could just land one shot in round 1, even if he is reserved, and get a knockout in round 1. I'm not saying he's definitely not going to get a knockout in round 1, because he definitely could. He's a high level enough to do that. But I do think he comes in with a bit more of a reserved approach. And I think if he does that, man, he's too much for Pitbull. You know, he hits way too hard. His boxing is way better than Pitbull's. His wrestling is better than Pitbull's. Pitbull ain't going to be able to grapple him. Pitbull's going to need like a club and sub here. He's going to need Aaron to shoot a poor takedown, and he's going to need to sub him with his guillotine, or he's going to need Aaron to just walk onto something heavy like every other loss of Aaron's career. Outside of that, I don't see him winning the fight, so I'm definitely picking Aaron here. I'm actually picking him via KO. I mean, I don't see how this fight goes to a decision, like every Aaron fight ever to some degree. Unless he just wrestles Pitbull and keeps his head safe. Maybe Pitbull can stay safe on the ground, but Aaron's just dominating him from top. But Aaron's so aggressive. Even from top, he's going to be trying to pound him out. I think at some point, he's going to catch him up against the cage and knock him out Ilia Topuria style. I'm picking Aaron Pico via KO here to bounce back from his UFC debut loss last time out. Next up, we have a very, very high-level matchup in the lightweight division. Mateusz Gamrot is taking on Esteban Ribovics. Shiny records for both guys here. Esteban Ribovics coming into this fight with a record of 15 wins, 2 losses. Mateusz Gamrot, on the other hand, 25 wins and 4 losses. Currently, they have Mateusz Gamrot as the -165 favorite, with the underdog price tag on Esteban Ribovics sitting at +145 odds. This is a very interesting one, boys. You know, to some degree, I want to pick Esteban Ribovics, but then I just feel like Esteban's never showed himself to be at this level. It's a big step up in competition from basically anyone he's ever fought. And in the same token, stylistically, although I think Ribovics has improved since these fights, but he was still taken down so many times by Luque Radzhabov. Back in the day on his UFC debut, he was still taken down multiple times. And in his next fight against Camarwela Kirk was able to get, his back in round one and basically dominate him for the whole round one before succumbing to the pace and pressure. So I kind of feel like, the writing's on the wall there to some degree. Gamrot will definitely get some takedowns and stuff here. But I do think, those fights were a long time ago, boys. It's 2023, so 3 years we're talking. I feel like he's got better since those fights. I think he's worked on his wrestling heavily. We don't have much evidence of it. He did out-grapple Brenner at points, but at the end of the day, we don't have much evidence of those improvements. But I do think they're there. He's obviously improving fight to fight. On the feet, he should win. So I kind of want to bet Ribovics here as an underdog, considering Gamrot, I don't know if he's on a downslide, but I don't know if he's going to be at the top of the division for too much longer. I can see this fight being close. And Gamrot, he gets hurt in every fight. Yes, he's super durable. He doesn't get finished for the most part. He doesn't get knocked out, but he still gets hurt in every fight. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ribovics lands something. He's got slick head kicks as well. Maybe he can just land something up top when Gamrot is moving left to right. I don't know. This is a close fight, boys. Another close fight. Another one where I picked the underdog. I'm picking the underdog in most of these close fights. Maybe it's because I'm a sports bettor and they're underdogs, but I just feel like they're all 50-50 fights for the most part. And so I have to pick the underdog in a 50-50 fight, boys. Suarez, Lupita Godinez, Randy Brown, Kevin Holland. Like these type of fights, they're very close. This fight, maybe I lean a little bit more to Gamrot. I can't say it's 50-50, but I just feel like there's a good chance that Ribovics wins this in a 29-28 war, like a Hooker versus Gamrot fight. And at the end of the day, man, Gamrot losing to Hooker that's not a good loss, Like especially considering Hooker's career has not been good outside of that one win, really. So talking plus 145s in a semi-close fight where Gamrot will get takedowns, but Esteban is not just going to give up on himself like Ludovic Klein did. And in my opinion, I still think it's decent and it still is there. And Gamrot's coming off a pretty humiliating beatdown where he just had nothing for Charles. Never know how he's going to return from that. I don't think he believes he can be champion at this stage of his career as well. These things always, whereas Ribovics probably still believes it. He probably thinks he won against Haqparast, and outside of that, his only loss was against Luque, and that was his debut. Like this guy probably still thinks he can become champion, even though Gamrot's proved himself to be a lot higher level. So these little mental edges and stuff, they definitely make a difference in close fights. And I think this is a close fight. And I'm going to pick another underdog here, boys. This is Dog City. I think, if I think back to all of these underdogs I've picked, I've picked mainly underdogs here. So I'm going to pick another one. Esteban Ribovics wins this fight via decision, in my opinion. Next up, we have some welterweight action. Two slightly mirror matchups here. We got Kevin Holland taking on Randy Brown. Kevin Holland coming into this fight with a record of 28 wins, 15 losses. Randy Brown, on the other hand, 20 wins and 7 losses. Currently, they have Randy Brown as the slight minus 140 favorite, with the underdog price tag on Kevin Holland sitting at plus 120. Oh, this is a tough one, boys. As I said in the intro, it's kind of like a mirror matchup. Both fighters are tall, long, lanky, rangy, black, strikers, good boxing, shaky durability. Kevin Holland always had great durability, but I think his durability is shaking now. Randy Brown always had semi-shaky durability. And if you beat them, most of the time, you're grappling them. So these guys are very similar. I honestly don't know who's going to win. I think Kevin Holland has better kicks. Randy Brown has better boxing. This fight could go either way, boys. I don't really know what to say about this one, honestly. It's one of those ones, just like a lot of this card, where I'm definitely not going to be betting on this one. I'll put it that way. Now, look, if we get some crazy odds, maybe. But currently, at minus 140, Randy Brown, plus 120, Kevin Holland, or whatever it was, there's no way I'm betting on this one. Maybe if the over-under prop sits at something good, I will make a bet on it. I can't say that right now, but definitely no money lines for me on this one, boys. It's a pick your poison type fight. I think Randy Brown will win early. I think Randy Brown will establish his jab. From what I've seen on tape, I think Randy Brown will establish his jab and his 1-2 faster, earlier, and overall better than Kevin Holland. But I think Kevin Holland will start attacking that calf, which could help him a lot. I think Kevin Holland will land some kicks as the fight goes on. And I think he might get into the fight and feel himself, get into the flow as the fight goes on. I think he's more durable, even at this stage. I know Kevin's durability has been a bit shaky more lately, but I think that, he will start to land bigger shots as the fight goes on. And I do feel like if anyone knocks anyone down, it's probably going to be Kevin Holland knocking down Randy Brown. And I think Kevin Holland has more power than Brown and just more durability, and he's more dangerous on the feet overall. And so that's why I'm going to end up picking him. I do think Brown will start out looking very good, but as the fight goes on, I feel like Kelvin will probably get into his rhythm. But sometimes Kelvin just doesn't get going, like in the D-Rod fight, in the Mallet fight. He never really got going in that fight. And sometimes he just has Brendan Allen fight back in the day. I know grappled, but not even Brendan Allen, Vettori fight back in the day, Brunson fight, grappled in those fights at 185. But it's been a pattern of Kevin's career where sometimes he just doesn't really get going. And since I think Brown's going to end up winning round one or winning early, maybe he's just be able to establish the jab and maybe hurt Kelvin once, and Kevin's kind of doesn't really want to push too much. Every time he does, he gets countered because Randy's already established the jab and is controlling the range in the fight, so can counter Kelvin and just win the whole 15 minutes that way. That's definitely possible, but I will pick Kevin Holland to maybe lose the first couple of minutes, but then come into the fight as it goes on. Maybe land even a big shot himself and drop Randy. But overall, it's a very close fight. Hard one for me to bet. Like I say, the odds would have to change for me to bet this one. I don't think I bet Kevin at plus 120, even though I'm picking him outright. I'd probably need a higher price to bet Kevin Holland. It may even go there because Kevin's obviously in everyone's bad books after complaining about the cup shots against Mallet. That been a bit of a weird one, a bit of a clown show on social media, and then obviously the poor performance against D-Rod as a massive favourite. He's not in anybody's good books here, but I do think he has some advantages on the mat. If it ever gets there, like if he gets dropped, he could honestly sweep or armbar into a choke or something Randy Brown, and if he does get the fight to the ground somehow with like a trip takedown or something, I do think he's better on the ground and better as submission artist. If he hurts Randy Brown and Randy Brown drops down for a leg, I think the Anaconda's live. And on the feet, I think he hits a bit harder and has better durability. So I'm going to pick Kevin Holland there, but it's hard to trust him. If the line continues to move up, maybe I'll make a play. But at the moment, it's a pass for me, boys, because I could just see multitude of outcomes here. And it's hard to trust either fighter at this price tag. But Kevin Holland is my official prediction. I'll say submission. But I really don't know. Next up, Tatiana Suarez taking on Lupita Godinez in some women's MMA action. Tatiana Suarez, 11 wins and only 1 loss, which was for the belt against Weili Zhang. So not a bad loss at all. Taking on Lupita Godinez, has a record of 14 wins, 5 losses. Currently, they have Tatiana Suarez as the slight minus 155 favorite here, with the underdog price tag on Lupita Godinez sitting at plus 135. Yeah, weird one here. I mean, Suarez is obviously on a massive decline. Has she declined enough to lose this fight against Lupita Godinez? We're going to get into it now. I will say one thing. I haven't been on the Suarez train since she came back. She had a lot of injuries, took a lot of time off, did come back. I was on the train initially because she fought much lower level fighters. For example, Jessica Andrade. And I can't remember the other girl that she choked out. I bet her to finish both of those girls. But when she fought someone legit, and look, Jessica Andrade is legit. I like Jessica a lot. But at the end of the day, man, she's always struggled getting taken down against wrestlers. She gets finished by any decent wrestler she fights. Like, let's be real. So, I bet her to finish those girls, and she did. But when she took a step up and fought Weili Zhang, I bet on Weili Zhang there as the underdog. And then she fought Amanda Lemos in her last fight, and I bet on Amanda Lemos at plus 250 as the underdog as well. And I thought Amanda Lemos could have won the fight. I mean, it's an extremely close fight. And I just have not been on the train since she took that step up in competition. I mean, Amanda Lemos is a legit fighter. Weili Zhang is a legit fighter. Lupita Godinez is also a legit fighter. Not as good as those two, but she is a legit fighter. And she definitely has outs to win this fight. And I am actually going to pick her to defeat Suarez as the underdog again. And I might even end up betting on her as the underdog. Again, fading Tatiana Suarez for the 3rd time in a row. The last 2 fades have been fantastic bets, even though one lost and one won, in my opinion. I feel like this fight is a bit easier for Suarez than the Lemos fight and the Weili Zhang fight. I mean, Weili Zhang fight, she basically could never win that fight. If they run the fight 10 times out of 10, she would never win. But I think that Amanda Lemos is a harder fight for her just because Lemos has good takedown defense initially and she's just a much better striker than her. Whereas Lupi's not like just such a clearly better striker than her, and she has no danger factor on the feet for the most part. She has some good boxing, but outside of that, I could definitely see Tatiana Suarez landing some kicks, throwing volume, and it being competitive on the feet, where it's never really going to be competitive on the feet between Lemos and Suarez, And Lupita Godinez has awful fight IQ. Lemos doesn't have great fight IQ, but Lupita Godinez also has like bad fight IQ, probably worse than Lemos. And I wouldn't be surprised if Godinez tries to shoot a takedown here. And at the end of the day, man, Suarez, yeah, she isn't as athletic or explosive as she used to be. She isn't as good of a wrestler as she used to be, but she still should be able to wrap up a guillotine reverse Lupita, even tap her out, probably not, but get on top herself. And she is still good on top, you know. Weili Zhang exposed her, but Zhang and Lupita, I mean, they're two different caliber. They're two different kettles of fish, you know. So I feel like Lupita could win this fight, but she could just throw it with her poor fight IQ. Suarez is bigger than her as well. She's more physical. I have seen Lupita taken down before and controlled on the ground for a bit. So it's not out of realm of possibility Suarez gets her takedowns here, but I kind of feel like this fight is going to be a striking fight. Both fighters are wrestlers. And sometimes when two wrestlers fight, it's a striking fight. Kind of feel like it's going to be a striking fight. In that fight, I still do have to pick Lupita, but it's definitely a close fight. And Suarez does have some significant advantages in the fight IQ, in the size, and probably still the physicality, even though a lot of it has gone after her injuries. And in women's MMA and MMA in general, I mean, these things can really win you the fight. And something else that makes me a little bit confident that these guys end up striking, even though they are grapplers, is that all of the recent posts on Tatiana Suarez's Instagram, for the most part, have been dedicated to boxing training. So she's training her boxing heavily in recent years. And I feel like she's going to want to show it off, number one. But also, two, she's going to know that Lupita Godinez is a good wrestler herself, so she might not want to go out there and just wrestle with her. She did get exposed in the wrestling at times as well with Weili Zhang, couldn't really take her down. So I just feel like all of that mixed into the pot means that she's probably going to want to strike more often than maybe we have seen, maybe more often than we've seen in the Weili Zhang and the Amanda Lemos fights. And in general, sometimes when you get two strikers, two wrestlers, they do end up striking as well. It's not like a super confident pick, but underdog-wise, I mean, I'm definitely going to pick her as the underdog. Like, Lupita Godinez wins this fight for me as the underdog in a decision. Next up, one of two mirror matchups on this card. We have Kelvin Gastelum facing off against his twin, Vicente Luque. Kelvin Gastelum coming into this fight with a record of 20 wins, 10 losses. Vicente Luque on the other hand, 23 wins, 12 losses, and 1 draw. Maybe not twins. You know, I'll leave that for Nasrat Haqparast, but, you know, definitely similar looking fighters here. The odds are not similar though. Kelvin Gastelum is a massive -230 favorite in this spot with the underdog price tag on Vicente Luque sitting at +200 odds. All right, so this one, boys, this is one where I'm not picking an underdog because I am going to pick a lot of underdogs and I have picked a lot of underdogs through this fight card, but this is one where I'm not. I just feel like Vicente Luque is way more shot than Kelvin Gastelum, in my opinion. And I think stylistically, Kelvin Gastelum's 1-2 style with his boxing, I think is just going to land on Luque. And I think he's way more durable than Luque at this stage. Luque was known to be super durable. Kelvin Gastelum still is durable. I mean, the punishment he took from Joe Pyfer very recently was pretty impressive. He took a lot of straights from Chris Curtis as well. That was pretty impressive. And he came back in round 2 and round 3 against Pyfer. And man, I mean, he could have took rounds 2 and round 3 against someone who just beat Izzy Adesanya. So I feel like Kelvin Gastelum still has a bit in the tank, and I don't know that Luque does, you know. In his fight against Joel Alvarez, it looked like he wanted to quit at times. I don't think that was a good look. And ultimately, boys, I just feel like Kelvin Gastelum has too much for Luque. I mean, how can Luque win this fight? I guess like a split decision where it's like a war, but I don't think Luque can stand up to these wars like he used to. I could be wrong, boys, because it's very hard to sometimes very hard to judge a fighter's durability, you know, because I thought Joel Alvarez was definitely going to finish him. So he didn't finish him. I mean, his durability held up better than I thought there, but I just feel like Luque's shot, you know, I really do. And I don't think Kelvin Gastelum is shot. So I'm basing the pick on that. I've got Kelvin Gastelum here quite confidently, honestly. I think he's going to win this fight. Decision or ITD? That's a tough one. Let's look at both of their recent fights. It might jog my head a little bit. Honestly, I want to pick a KO. Kelvin hasn't got a finish since Michael Bisping, bro. Kelvin has not got a finish since 2017. I mean, that's kind of crazy when you think about it. It's also insane that Kelvin Gastelum weighed in at 191 pounds in his last fight. I mean, this guy seems like he doesn't want to be here anymore, but I think he wants to be here a lot more than Vicente Luque. Another thing to note, which I forgot to say, is that Vicente Luque is moving up to 185 pounds now. He's probably just like, fuck this. I don't want to cut the weight anymore. I'm basically on my way out. It seems like he don't want to be in the cage anymore. And now he's moving up in weight. It's usually a bad sign when fighters at the end of their career move up in weight. And I think it's for the wrong reasons, man. So yeah, Kelvin Gastelum, I'll actually pick him inside the distance here. I'm going to say that he gets a knockout, honestly, more based on Luque than based on Gastelum. But I feel like Kelvin Gastelum's going to win this fight And I think he gets a knockout as well. Next up, we have a pretty exciting fight. MarQuel Mederos taking on Chris Padilla. Mederos coming into this fight with a record of 11 wins, 1 loss. Chris Padilla, on the other hand, 17 wins and 6 losses. Currently, there is no odds out for these guys as I record this video. So yeah, I can't give you odds for this. I definitely think this one will be a closely lined matchup. I mean, they keep making Padilla the underdog. So I'm going to do some lucrative projected odds here. I'm going to say that MarQuel Mederos and Chris Padilla is lined -110 apiece, but we will see. Yeah, this is an interesting fight, boys. MarQuel Mederos taking on Chris Padilla. I didn't really rate Chris Padilla that much coming into the UFC, but the guy is on a 4-fight win streak. Every single fight, he has finished his opponent except for that split decision against Jai Herbert in a very close fight. And I feel like we know what Chris Padilla is now. I underrated him coming in, but he's someone who is very technical. He's got very good accuracy. He can at times fight to the level of his competition because he doesn't push a crazy pace. In my opinion, he's got very high fight IQ. And if you're wilting and you have a big hole in your game, he's going to press you and show that hole. If you're a decent fighter all round and you're pressuring him, he's going to stay on the outside and, try and time big shots, but really chip away at you and not really force the pace. And then it can be a close fight. And that's the type of guy he is, smart guy, well-rounded everywhere, never going to blow you away, in my opinion, even though he has done against James Lontop and Ismail Bonfim. But I feel like that's because of Lontop's skill set and because of Bonfim's mindset just crumbling at the face of adversity, which he's done throughout his entire career. I do feel like Padilla's been a bit fortunate in some of his fights. Like the Jai Herbert fight could have gone against him. It was a close fight. I did score it for Padilla. Padilla landed shots in specific moments. Like in round 3, it looked like Jai Herbert was pouring it on towards the last 30 seconds. He was kind of winning the round, which probably would have won him the fight. But then Padilla lands a beautiful left elbow, which wobbles Jai, and the whole crowd goes crazy, and then that wins him the round to then win the fight. In round 2, it's a very close fight. It could go either way, and then Padilla gets some grappling and cage control going at the end of the round, which kind of swings it to his bias. I feel like he was a little bit lucky with the sequencing of the fight in that fight, and then obviously the Rongzhu fight, I felt like he was a little bit lucky for the doctor to stop that fight. I mean, cuts happen all the time, but doctors don't always stop it. The doctor did stop that one. Look, he landed the shot and cut Rongzhu, so shout out to him. But I feel like he's been a bit fortunate there. And Ismail Bonfim, look, he put it on him. But Bonfim crumbles at the sign of pressure. That's kind of the fighter he is. So I feel like at some point, Padilla is going to run into a brick wall where they don't crumble. The doctor doesn't stop it. He doesn't win the split decision. He loses the split decision and he loses the fight. I kind of feel like that's going to be here. I am picking Mederos to win the fight, but I do respect Padilla. I do respect his game. The issue with this one, though, I feel like you don't want to stay at range with MarQuel Mederos. And Chris Padilla's game isn't that good at closing distance and making it ugly and gritty, like Austin Hubbard did do to MarQuel Mederos, which could have won him the fight, even though he lost. Like Choinski could do and did do at times that won him moments of the fight, even though he lost again. I don't think Padilla's that type of fighter. Yes, he's going to cage control. Yes, he's going to clinch. Yes, he's going to, at times, land some big shots. But I don't think he's going to grind him, break him down like you probably need to do to Mederos. Mederos, very good leg kicks, something that I noticed on tape watching this guy every single fight. This guy's landed brutal leg kicks almost instantly. So I think that's going to take his toll here. And I just feel like the style that you need to beat Mederos, Padilla doesn't have. He can switch his game plan up and implement some elements of that style, which is wrestle heavy, grinding pace, cardio, volume, clinch control, takedowns. Like that's kind of the style you need to beat Mederos. I don't think Padilla has it. He has some elements of it, but I don't think that's his natural go-to. I think he just likes to land the bigger shots, time you, out-technical you. And I don't think that that's the way to beat Mederos because he's taller, bigger, better calf kicks, good range control. Like that's his style of fight. So for that reason, I will pick MarQuel Mederos to win this fight. Another reason why I am picking Mederos is because Padilla is filling in as a late notice replacement for this fight. So the fight was only announced a week ago. So he's probably only going to have like 3 to 4 weeks of proper preparation, which in my opinion is not going to be great for him because you need to come in with a very good game plan and basically train for the specific style that MarQuel Mederos will bring, because he does bring a tough style. So yeah, I think that's going against him as well. So I respect Padilla. I rate him to some degree. I think this one is a bit too much for him. So I got Mederos to win via decision. Next up on the fight card, we have Charles Radke taking on Francisco Prado. Charles Radke had a fight booked a week or two ago, which was cancelled, and Francisco Prado was supposed to be fighting Christopher Alvidraz on this fight card, but now they end up facing off against each other. Because it's a late notice matchup for both fighters, there are currently no odds out for this fight. So let's do some lucrative projected odds again. I am going to say that Charles Radke sits at a -175 favorite in this spot, with the underdog price tag on Francisco Prado coming back at around +150. You know, maybe Charles Radke is -200 or -210, something like that, and Francisco Prado's +170, +180. But for the sake of this video, I'll say -175 for Radke and +150 for Prado. Very weird one, boys. So I have to be honest, this fight was announced very recently, about a week ago, so I haven't been able to do tape study for this one yet. Taped every other fight on the card, but not this one, so I need to go in depth on this one. I taped Charles Radke's last fight, which then got cancelled. Something I do want to mention, which is one of the most important things for this fight, is that Charles now has to cut weight 2 times in 2 weeks, right? I don't know how much he cut weight last time, but he's going to have to basically be on point, be on that weight, and peak again 1 week later, which is not good, and I think that's going to be bad for him. Overall, I still am picking him to win this fight without proper tape study. I know Prado pretty well, and I know that Charles Radke's submission and grappling game is so much better than what we have even seen. In his last fight, he showed it to some degree, so I really feel like he can just go rinse and repeat with the takedowns here and probably win the fight that way. Francisco Prado now has shown time and time again that he has issues with takedowns and control, and so based on that, I think Radke's going to win. I think he's going to win via control time, probably decision, probably not submission, but we really don't know. But I do want to do more tape study on this one because I haven't really taped it. I've only taped Charles' last fight, and it wasn't even in preparation for this fight, so it's a weird one, boys, but I'll pick Charles Radke via decision as of now. Subject to change, but I am semi-confident on that pre-tape. But shit always happens after tape study or during tape study. Sometimes my picks change. So, you know, I'll keep that one for the Elite Zone, even though for now I will pick Charles Radke. And speaking of the Elite Zone, boys, the Elite Zone is my private betting community where you get access to every single one of my bets that I place on every single UFC card and PFL card and every other regional scene card as well, like Cage Warriors, LFA, etc., etc. Boys, if you want that and if you want to join me on the exact bets that I place every week, not just my picks, which are 2 different things, as I always say, then the link is in the bio. I have, to my knowledge, the best tracked MMA record on the entire planet, and every single one of my bets is third-party tracked, so I can never fake my record. Everybody watching this video knows the exact bets that I placed on any UFC fight card or any other fight card as soon as the card finishes, because I track my bets on a third party for the entire world to see. So if you go on that website, you will see that we are currently on a downtrend in 2026 and we are in the red for 2026. But you will also see that we are heavily in the green since I started and basically every other year. So I'm very confident we get back in the green zone soon. And last week was a winning week for me and everyone in the Elite Zone. So I'm feeling like the win streak starts here. And if you want to join along that win streak, then the link is in the bio, boys. You can also join my free Telegram group there. Like I said, I do giveaways where I give money away to people for no reason in my Telegram group. So you can join that there as well. A bunch of free bets and stuff in there as well. But outside of that, boys, thank you for being part of the show. It's been great. The sun is still out, although there's a few clouds there. So I'm going to go and enjoy my life now and touch grass, or even better, touch sand. Peace and love, boys. Outside of that, hopefully we all cash, and I'll see you in the next video.